This is a presentation of the Sports Source Digital Network, presented by Hearthside Bank.
Is Liverpool set for an historic drop? It's the EPL in 20 minutes, coming up next. Welcome into Premiere on the Sports Source Digital Network. I am Will West alongside Chris Carroll. What we do is the EPL in 20 minutes every single week here on the Sports Source Digital Network. If you like EPL content, like, subscribe, and if you agree or disagree with anything that we're saying, be sure to let us know in the comments. Let's start it out. Weird weekend when it comes to print journalism, I guess, because I saw a piece from The Athletic that said Liverpool look like they're shaky right now. A piece at ESPN.com yesterday said Liverpool could be set for an historic drop. Are you buying that Liverpool, who looks like they're running away with the top of the table right now, could be set up for maybe a fall back down to grace?
I'm not buying it, to be honest, Will. I know they've had a couple of wobbles, if you like. I think Slot picked the wrong team for the FA Cup. He played the boys and they lost to Plymouth. They drew against Everton, which, it looked on the cards before the game. Last Merseyside Derby at Goodison Park. And so they drew against Everton. And then they took care of struggling Wolves team. Was it fantastic from Liverpool's point of view? No. So they might be wobbling, but I don't think they're in trouble. They're 7 points clear still at the table. It's not too bad a position to be in, is it? And yeah, I think what they've done, what Slot's done, is pretty amazing. Following Klopp. At the end of last season, Klopp was going, big icon. They weren't expected to do what they're doing this season. So I think they're in a pretty good place at the moment, even though they might be wobbling a touch to their standards, but I think everybody else is having a wobble or unpredictable time of it, so I think Liverpool are going to be okay.
Yeah, no, I think Liverpool's fine. I think this is just, here's the portion. Some portion of this, I think, is trying to make sure American fans, Chinese fans, the only global league is the EPL. Mm-hmm. And I think that we are front runners in America. The Chinese fans, it's known that whoever the champion is, that's who they seem to follow. Unfortunately, with the EPL, it's rarely as interesting at the top of the table as it is who are going to get those European spots, who's going to get who falls into relegation territory. A lot of times, frankly, the top of the table can be boring because someone's just going to run away from it, or it's a two-man race, but you don't really feel like team number 2 is going to be able to catch team number 1. I feel like this is just maybe a couple of journalists who see maybe some cracks in the armor, and so they're trying to create a story that isn't there, that maybe Liverpool's about to fall apart. I do think Liverpool, when you had 2 domestic cups, you had Europe, you had Premier League all going on at once, they got a little overextended. And that happens to a lot of people. That's why most teams don't try to go for the quadruple or even the treble. You'll try to do Europe, you'll try to win the EPL, and you'll rest your guys and play the young guys. And if you end up in a semifinal, okay, we'll go play our first team when it comes to that. Right. I think there's a little bit of that happened to Liverpool. They were overextended. They got tired. They ended up losing to Plymouth because they played a bunch of children. And now we're all trying to fabricate something to make the top of the table interesting, because it looks like, especially with Arsenal's injuries right now, that they are working through and they're doing a good job. It just seems like Liverpool's probably not going to be caught, especially when I look at the matches that they have left this season.
It doesn't look like it, but I think and there might be some mischief making going on in the press to try and keep this title race alive.
Some type of interest, yeah.
But here's where it's unpredictable. I think there's a number of teams in the Premier League right now who can't put a run together, but on their day could give Liverpool trouble, like a Villa, Bournemouth, Newcastle. When they show up, Forest. They could beat Liverpool on the day. They haven't yet. Liverpool haven't. They're not falling, but the potential is there for an upset, and they've still got to play Arsenal as well.
We mentioned that the EPL, the only real league that is global, massive television deals in the United States, China, Indonesia, India is another growth area for them right now. That is the one league that everyone else is trying to mimic when it comes to having a global presence. You mentioned something against the Merseyside Derby last Wednesday. Liverpool didn't play an English player. They played a player from Northern Ireland. They played a player from Scotland. Is it time to stop having the standard where you have to have so many homegrown players right now in the EPL, given how global the league is?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that they introduced it so that to protect the English national team. Well, clubs now don't owe the English national team anything, quite honestly. There's a divide there's always a battle between the clubs and letting the players go and play for England. So that's the first thing. They don't owe them anything. The second thing is, I think it's a sad reflection on player development in England. Every kid in England plays soccer. If we've got to worry about keeping slots open for English players, then there's a problem there. What's going on with the academies? Every club's got an academy. There's millions of kids play soccer in England. So why do we have to keep these shoehorn English players into clubs? So yeah, I think it's time to just call it like it is. Just say, if you're good enough, you play.
One thing that I would like to see them keep having the academies. So I'm okay with the homegrown player aspect. Now, that doesn't mean the player has to be English.
That's right.
It just means that they have to have come up at some point through their academy. And I'm okay with that because I think it protects the future of the sport. What I don't want is it to become a situation where it just is a group of mercenaries. And someone comes in like City and just says, best players in Brazil, best players in Argentina, best players in Africa, best players in Germany. We're going to best players in the Netherlands. We're going to bring them in, and that's what our team's going to be. And there's no reason for us to put the investment into the academy side of things, because I just think that works really well until it doesn't work. And so I think that you're kind of protecting the owners a little bit from themselves by forcing them to have to continue to invest in the academy. And if something ever happens with ownership because right now for a lot of these EPL clubs, they're just an investment piece, right? They're part of a portfolio. They aren't necessarily a club to the owners. They're a franchise that's part of a larger investment portfolio. What happens if whatever business they're in happens to go bankrupt, right? What happens if with the Saudi or Abu Dhabi investment groups, if everything moves to electric vehicles in the next 5 years and they no longer have the level of money that they have? So I think that sometimes you need to protect super rich people from themselves because they've been so good at decision making over the years that they can think all of their decisions are good decisions. So I don't have a problem with it being there. Okay, we're going to introduce a new segment during this week's show. It's Promotion Relegation, our buy or sell segment. What we're going to do, one thing or person or entity in the world of EPL soccer that we would like to promote, one that we would like to relegate, or one that we're going to sell. Chris, we'll start with you. Who are you promoting this week?
I've got to promote James Tarkowski for his equaliser for Everton against Liverpool the other day. What was it, 98th minute, something like that. He could hit that shot 50 times and not put it where he put it that night. Rose head, as we say, most of them. For a centre-back to be up, first of all, to be up there.
Yes.
And then to hit that ball on the volley in such an important game, such an iconic game, last Merseyside Derby at Goodison Park. I mean, I've got to promote that guy.
Okay, look, I'll promote Fulham, the club as a whole, and I know I've kind of been singing their praises the last couple of weeks, but I love the way they have built their club. They, instead of going and getting 19 and 20-year-olds that'll be good 3 years from now, they went and got guys from different clubs around Europe that maybe aren't superstar players, but they all can play at a very high level in the EPL. And that was a very nice win against Nottingham Forest. Yes, it was at home, but still, fantastic win for them. They haven't lost since, I think, January 24th. And so their next match is on the 22nd. It's against Palace. Then they have Wolves. They have not lost in the month of February, and they're large favorites against both Palace and Wolves. They may make the entire month of February without losing a match, and that's not something we're used to with Fulham. So I tip my cap to them. They get my promotion this week. Who are you relegating this week?
I've got to relegate Ruben Amorim, Man United coach, obviously. And the reason being is it's his stubbornness and his determination to play this one way, when he obviously doesn't have the players to play that one way, but he's going for it. Now, I've got a bit of sympathy for him because he wanted to take the job in the summer, and they said, no, you take it now or never. So he took it. But you've got to be smart. And we hear managers praised when they have in-game management and they tweak things during a game, change their system. So why wouldn't it be smart for him to have pre-game management and tweak his system, and play how his players to suit his players? So he's not. It's a disaster at the moment, and I've got to relegate him for that.
They've been decimated by injuries, but as we pointed out when we talk about Spurs, who isn't decimated with injuries right now, right? So you need to adjust your tactics based on the players that you have available to you right now, even if they are literally younger than my daughter at this point, most of them. I'll relegate Liverpool's management. I don't like the way that they've handled the situation with Salah. I don't like the way that they've handled the situation with Van Dijk. And that has been a smart enough club over the years where they don't let situations like this happen. And I get that Van Dijk's 33, Salah's 32. you're going to let those guys walk with nothing? You're going to get nothing in return for them? And I understand you're probably going to win the EPL this year, but we've seen this happen when other clubs let superstars walk away and get nothing back for them. We saw it with PSG. There's a slight step back that comes directly behind that because it's tough to replace those voices in the locker room, that leadership, the scoring, what Van Dijk offers at the back in terms of steel. Yeah. So I think he's the best center back of this generation. I honestly do. Yeah. And so I'm going to have to relegate them because I think they should have had some sort of a plan. And it doesn't seem like there was a strategy whatsoever to what they're going to do with those aging players. They're just kind of winging it, and if we end up with them back, cool. If not, that's okay too. We'll go bring someone else on. Strange. It rarely works out where you can just make an even trade like that when you let someone walk away and get nothing in return for them.
To replace Salah and Van Dijk, they're not going to. Yeah. They're not going to. But as long as they've got those two this season, and maybe that's what they were just hoping for.
All right, MLS season actually gets started this week. So I think the 22nd is when this is going to kick off. So let's talk about the MLS because we are here in the States right now. Chris, you're from Wolverhampton, but you've lived here in the States now for a while. You are a U.S. citizen as well. Yeah. Has the MLS growth been stunted by the lack of promotion and relegation, in your opinion?
I think it has. On a world level. It has. There's interest here, obviously, but on a promotion and relegation is what makes English soccer, world soccer, so exciting. That's the appeal. You keep the interest throughout the whole season. There are 4 clubs in England worried to death right now. But 2 months ago, half the table was worried that they'd be going down. Half the table right now can still qualify for Europe, and there's a pyramid system where there's half a table of the Championship can still get promoted. It's exciting. It keeps things alive. It's such a shame that wasn't set up here. That it wasn't set up here that way. It can't be changed now, and I think it definitely takes away some of the excitement. Yeah,
I think that for me, it's not so much promotion and relegation that's stunted the growth of the MLS. And the MLS is doing well, right? Like 94% capacity in matches in the 2024 season. Mm-hmm. That's really good. We're seeing the overall valuation of clubs continue to climb. There are a number of clubs with a valuation over $1 billion right now. They're getting up to $350 million as buy-in for expansion clubs just a couple of years ago. But the thought process is we need to financially survive, not let's put the best product we possibly can on the field, market it well, and then we'll thrive. There's no thought to thrive. There's just thoughts to survive. And that thought process is what's keeping them from having promotion and relegation, because if you're Cincinnati, if you're Charlotte, if you're Austin, you don't want to get relegated. You don't want to have half of that league be split up to a second tier. It would make it far more interesting. It would make far more eyeballs in the United States actually pay attention to what the MLS is doing. The unfortunate part right now is the MLS, to some extent, is an exhibition league. It is when it comes to the rest of the world. The best American players don't play here. What we get right now are just aging Euro stars that come back and they want to make a lot of money in America, or get a piece of one of those franchises. So, Messi comes back here, Wayne Rooney was here, Zlatan was here. We've had a lot of the big stars that have come right at the back end of their career, make a little money in America, and then go off and do whatever they want to do beyond that. But the thought process has always been survive. And when your thought process is survive and just try to make as much money as you can, you're never going to thrive. And if I think they could institute promotion relegation, I think it would be massive news. I think it would pull a lot of eyeballs in. It might pull more players in. The problem is that second half of the league is not going to want to make exponentially less money and have to deal with that, even though I think that it would be the best thing for that league long term. I've seen anywhere from the MLS is the 8th ranked league in the world to the MLS is the 17th ranked league in the world, depending on the different ranking systems that you're looking at. That should be unacceptable in America, but we've failed at soccer here for so long. I think that everyone's just kind of happy with the status quo. I mentioned to you off the air, there's an opportunity here, like you want to give people steak, right? You want to give the soccer fan in America steak. But if they're content just to eat hot dogs and you can make the same money you would make off of steak while they eat hot dogs, then what's the point of spending the money on steak? So when the fan continues to consume the product at the level that they're consuming the product inside the stadium, now television's not doing well, right? I just don't see ownership groups being willing to make that move.
No, you've hit the nail on the head there. It's about the money for the owners rather than the level on the field.
And the short-term money too, not even the long-term money, right?
Right, yeah. They're pretty much filling the stadiums, so the market's there, but just not the excitement because of that promotion relegation that's missing, and as a result of that, the level of play. So, like you said, most of the American national team play in Europe or wherever. They don't play in the MLS.
If they can, they want to play in Europe.
They go. So that says a lot.
Yeah.
That says a lot about the level of the MLS, and it's a real shame because the population here is massive, of course, but it could be so much better. So much better.
All right, we moved on to our final thing, our final category, our target man, upset of the week, and then we're creating a new thing called our survivor pool. What we're doing is a goal differential survivor pool. Chris and I will pick a different team that we think is going to win each week. Once you pick a team, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season, but at the end of the season, whoever has the largest goal differential is going to be the overall winner. Chris, we start with our target man. Who's your target man for this week?
Target man, I got Brentford away at Leicester this weekend, and Brian Mbeumo, our penalty taker, he hasn't missed yet. I can see goals for Brentford against Leicester, so I got him as my target man.
All right, my target man this week is Carlos Alcaraz. No, not the Spanish tennis player, the Brazilian soccer player. Everton against United. In just his second match, Alcaraz took 5 shots, 3 shots on goal, and ended up having a goal. So volume shooter. I love that about him. A lot of times when you're doing this, you're not just looking at who's in the right position, but also who's going to have opportunity. Yeah. United have allowed a goal from a midfielder each of the last 2 matches. So I think that with Alcaraz, I know he's going to take 5 shots. Only in just his second game, he took 5 shots. That guy might take 7 or 8 shots this week in his third game. He's a lot more comfortable. He's on loan from a Brazilian club. So Everton against United, give me Alcaraz. I think he's going to be able to get another goal just because that seems to be where United is susceptible. Your upset pick of the week.
Upset of the week. Now, with my upsets, I go with if a team's below another team and they win, then that's an upset.
Yeah.
In my book. I know the bookies might have it slightly differently. This week, Villa-Chelsea. I've got Villa at home, they're 9th, Chelsea 6th.
If we want to talk about a team that's shaky right now, Chelsea looks everyone's pointing the finger at Liverpool. Chelsea looks shaky. I have the same match. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the odds are like for a draw, because of
they're
both
plus 170, but they are both in the sports books the underdog, and they're the lower on the table in Chelsea.
Okay,
now.
So I got Villa's my upset. Same as you.
Yeah, I had the same thing. And again, man, Chelsea looks very shaky right now. Very shaky.
Yeah.
All right, dodgy. Survivor League pick. You get to pick one team. We might pick the same pick. We might not. One team. You're looking for the largest goal differential you possibly can this week, but you can't pick this team again the rest of the year.
All right. Well, you mentioned him a minute ago. I got Everton against Man United.
Look at that.
Yeah, I've got Everton on a high. Can't stop scoring. Couldn't score a goal before Moyes. Couldn't score a goal. Now they're scoring like Billio every week. And your guy who's shooting. If you don't shoot, you don't score. Keep shooting. How many times do you see a guy with a chance to shoot and not take the chance?
Yeah.
So Everton on a high, Man United on a low. Everton's my team.
I'm going to play it safe. Give me Arsenal against West Ham. I think that could be an easy 3-1, 4-1. So I will take Arsenal against West Ham for my survivor pick this week. Again, subscribe. If there's anything that you disagreed with, hit us up in the comments. And if you're an MLS fan, I want to know from you. Would you like to see them go to a promotion and relegation setting? We'll talk about your answers next week here on Sports Source Premiere.